Good morning, everyone. So this is our session number 4 already. And today we have an anonymous mock interview with hiring managers for QA automation positions, QA automation slash SDET roles. And let me introduce our amazing managers. And we have two people, two new people in our managers board. Welcome Igor Dorovsky. He's an engineering manager at Tinder, and he also a co-founder of Code Fitness. Sachin Joshi, he's a quality assurance manager at Promethean. He will join a little bit later. Adil Mansour, if you guys already saw him in the previous meetups, he's a quality assurance manager at ChowNow. And Enrico Bernardo, he's a vice president of software QA at American Specialty Health. Guys, briefly, just 1 minute, introduce yourself, say hi to our audience, and briefly about you. Igor, you want to start? Or Enrico, do you want to start?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's Enrico Bernardo here. Glad to be part of the panel again. Always good to spend a Saturday morning with all of you. Today's an exciting day. We're going to be doing not only some of the basic interview questions, but also do some technical questions, some technical interviews. So excited to see how well the panelists do today. Thanks.
I'm very excited about it. Adil.
Yeah, hi, I'm Adil. I'm a quality assurance manager at ChowNow. Excited about today's session, just like Enrico, focused on SDET, diving into some more technical questions. So happy to be here. Glad I could help.
Thank you, Adil. Igor, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hey guys, Igor here. Really excited to see what kind of candidates we get today, and good luck everyone. It should be a fun ride altogether.
It'll be fun, totally. All right, for all people who is the first time here, and actually, let me do a quick poll right now. Okay, guys, this is very interesting. Let me share the results, and you will know who is our audience as well. We have majority of it is experienced QA, which is awesome. We have another half, I would say third, is graduates from other schools and boot camps. We have experienced developers, and this is also very exciting. I will also tell you that we have another mock interview. I will announce it later for developers. And we have people like who is transitioning from non-tech, which is also interesting. Welcome all new guys. I think that should be very interesting. Okay. All right, let's move forward, and let's talk about how it will be going, how it will be, what should we expect. So we have basically two questions that our candidates should be prepared. Tell me about yourself, and what did you do at your last project? They are limited with 4 minutes in total. So this is very essential to get on time, get on this limit. And then juicy part, follow-up questions from our managers. And since today is a QA automation session for QA automation, we might have coding challenges as well. So, which is usually you can get on the real interviews. All right, and then we'll give a quick feedback from each manager, what went well, what you guys should improve, and overall feedback. Sounds good? All right, and then let me give some announcements. We have next event, basically it is tomorrow. We do with partnership with company Autos. It's an online educational company. They do JavaScript front-end JavaScript bootcamp, and tomorrow is going to be open class about Master CS. Should be very interesting at 10 a.m. Please join. If you guys join through the meetup group, it's just check the meetup. You can sign up there. And the next mock interview, as I said, it's going to be actually in the picture, it's not for QA, it's supposed to be a dev, my bad. It is a bug. But yeah, that's going to be a mock interview with hiring managers for web developers, October 3rd, 11 a.m. If you guys, whoever is new here, you want to participate as candidates, like today's candidates, go to this meetup page and just sign up there. Check the description link. In the description, there is a link for Google form. So just sign up through the Google form, and you have to go to the Slack channel. And this Wednesday, we're gonna do onboarding session for details of logistics, how it will be looks like. So in order to participate in the next meetups, in the next mock interview sessions. Sounds good? If you guys have questions, you can ask them in the Q&A section, or you can ask them in the chat as well. Sounds good? All right, so let's get started with candidate number one. Let me put the timer. Candidate number one, are you ready?
Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for this opportunity to attend to the interview panel.
One second. So can you share the screen with your resume?
Sure, I will do that now.
Thank you.
Let me know if you can see it and if it is visible or I need to zoom.
That's perfect. I think we can see it pretty clearly. Okay, you have total 1 minute about tell you about yourself and your current project. I mean, 4 minutes in total. Okay. Okay, let's get started.
I'm candidate number one from mock interview panel number 4. I'm an experienced QA engineer. I started my QA career around 16 years back, mostly in QA testing, but I had some other roles in parallel, like support engineer, like think about some tasks from site reliability engineers, and some small dev tasks. In all my 16 years of experience, I focus on mainly 3 more particular areas. One is to try to improve or reinvent the quality process in a company. Depends how many gaps were there. Try to deliver or help in delivering solutions to the customer. And solutions, I don't mean necessarily a project, but it can be anything like a test plan, test strategy, a testing phase, test scripts, automated test frameworks. The goal when delivering the solution was, for me, is the customer to get a return of investment out of it, to work and to use it somehow and return the budget it spent there. And third, I try to take the lead if possible in the testing process, even if I don't have an official lead role. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm trying to step over the QA lead there, but if somebody needs to provide a leading there, to provide the direction, I'm trying to do that one to reach the goal. Regarding my my last project was really a series of projects related to this pandemic, to COVID, and so we had some customers affected by this pandemic, which they needed to cancel their let's say payments, orders, reservations, to get a refund or to move them. So suddenly when the pandemic started, a lot of load came on the customer support, tens of thousands of requests, and customer support could not handle them manually. So I built a framework in Python, which would do that based on eligibility. If you can get a cancellation of that order or a refund or to move it, assuming you did not use it. So I built that framework in Python. And the goal of the framework was, it has 3 main goals there. One is to make sure you release the customer support team there, take the load out of customer support team. Two is to resolve the problem that customer needed. If he wants a refund, to refund that money. And third is to, if there is a refund, make sure you refund the correct amount of money there. From technical point of view, the framework was not very, I cannot say it was very complicated, but from a timeline and budget and the business point of view, it has some important ideas you need to follow. You need to be quick. There is not much room of failure there because you're playing with the people money there. You don't want to refund more, or you don't want to refund to the wrong people. And you don't have, it's not much room to have bugs or false positive requests and to waste people time from the customer support. You want to release them and not more to complicate their life and ask them to spend more time to troubleshoot why your results are failing. So that's pretty much it for my last experience in the project, in the last project.
Awesome, thank you. Team managers, who want to start first?
I just had a question about the project. It's a little confusing. You're a QA engineer, but you built the solution to provide the refunds for these customers against production?
Yes, it is in Python, that thing. And the solution, think about, I can give you a little bit more details. First is eligibility of the customer, if that he can request a refund or a cancellation. Second is you are calling some APIs. Based on some responses, you are doing some transformations of the data and provide that refund. And then you create a report which will send it back to the business. How many were refunded? How many you could not refund it? How much was the total refund spent? And maybe you have a refund number there to give them the traceability of the customer and the refund number. But that was, it's a series of API calls there and a series of transformation of the data from the API calls.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. I didn't understand. You were testing the solution, or you created the solution?
I created the script. I created a script. Okay.
So were there? I mean, that sounds good. Sounds like, you know, you're helping out in different areas. What was it about your last experience that's specific to testing?
Last experience specific to testing, we had a product for our company, which I did there. I helped from end-to-end testing from that point of view, and also for some automation of the UI part of that one.
You talked about 16 years of experience, and then I liked your second bullet in there about shift left approach.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about shift left over and why? And you know, you have a lot of experience. What is it about shift left, and it kind of make the audience explain to them what that is?
Yeah. So this is the way I'm understanding, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that. So shift left for me is coming to project as early as possible from design point of view. Let's say business requirements point of view. You understand the business requirement there. You might be like a QA analyst there. You start creating test strategy, test plan on the business requirements. You understand why, how, and what of that project. You need to understand why, what is that goal, why you need to do that thing. So shift left is involving testing in as early as possible in that project. This will avoid having bugs right in the beginning of the project if possible. This will help you to understand the scope of the project and to understand the businesses there, the business requirements, and this will help you to design your strategy for the full testing cycle of the project.
Is Selenium and the tools that you're using right now beneficial for that?
For shift left approach, not really. I meant if you have mocks of the UI, it might help you. Let's say you don't have the UI part coded, but somebody can give you a mocking thing. And you might have an idea, assuming they will keep the IDs there and locators similar, you might have an idea how to build your framework. However, Selenium is not necessarily building only the class of the page, class of that page, but you can create the structure of your framework. Like you have utils functions, utils classes, you have method classes, and then to try to, in the page classes, to try to create your locators and the methods specific to that page. But to answer to your question, if you have mocks of that page, you can be involved in building the framework in early stages of that project, while in parallel, the developers code their real page. However, you need to keep in mind the locators might change there might appear some other UI elements and so on. So you might need to maintain your framework.
Okay, thank you. Great.
How do you feel about coding? Do you feel comfortable to code a little bit with us?
I will do my best, and you will decide based on how it is, the level of coding. Even if I'm not very comfortable in the one particular situation, I'm doing my best to find solutions and learn and provide the results at the later stage. So
Perfect.
yeah, go ahead and share the URL.
Yeah, the question is, are you comfortable, what programming language you're comfortable with? Python, Java?
So I work with Java and with Python, with these two. Java, I worked as object-oriented programming a little bit. I worked with object-oriented programming, and with Python, till object-oriented programming, not inheritance and other stuff, but I did the stuff I needed in Python. So,
okay. So we have a very, very easy challenge for you, something we will call warm-up challenge, and then Evgeny going to share the code pad with you. In a comment, like first lines in comment, there is a description of the problem. You can read it out loud, let us know if you have any questions, but shouldn't take more than 5 minutes for you to code in Java.
Yeah, check the chat. I just posted the link. Just hit there.
let me see. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, and you can share the screen so we can help you out if you have any questions.
Yeah.
And for the folks who are basically watching this, for the sake of this interview, we didn't come up with complicated questions, just to warm up. And again, we're simulating the phone screen, nothing like, it's not a real interview yet. So all coding challenge will be like super easy level.
Okay. Let me please remove the share, stop share, and I will share it again.
Oh, we can see it.
Oh, you can see it
actually.
You guys can see the code.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Let me close this thing. Okay. Okay. So you want to write a function that will. Okay. Okay. First of all is I will try to do the solution first solution, and then I will try to see if there is any room for refactoring or come with a better solution from here. So
by the way, you can choose the language that you want to do.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right now it's selected for the Java, but if you feel Python is better, whatever you like.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Okay.
I'll take your
Take your time, no worries.
Yeah, you can ask questions along the way if you're not clear.
So this is an array of, you mentioned already it's an array of integers, this one.
Yes, array of integers, yes. So basically you have to write a function that will take input as array of integers.
Okay.
So what would be the output?
The output will be an integer value.
Perfect.
The sum of that element.
Awesome.
So let's say here, def sorry, okay, I'll go for I int range the length
Make sure you write a function that takes input. So
okay, as a function, sure. Def initialize first some zero. And here we'll call in the init main, we'll call some, sorry.
So you have a lot of syntax errors.
Okay.
Here, so let me just give you that hint.
Yeah.
You have a fair amount of syntax errors here. So
yeah.
this won't run. If you need help, you can ask questions. That's
okay. Sorry.
It's really important to like talk through your solutions because you know, especially when you're doing coding like in a code pair sort of format, it's really important to just explain what you're doing, ask questions, so you know you can have people guide you and help you out.
So first thing, what I'm doing, I'm creating a method to do the sum of the elements of the array. I initialize sum with 0 first because I don't know the elements of that array. And I do a for loop to go through all the elements of the array from the beginning till the length of the array. And I'm adding the initial sum, the sum plus the element value of that array. And I'm returning the sum, assuming sum as an integer. I can put here the sum.
You're confusing Java and Python.
I was about to say that, but that's okay.
Yeah, so you don't need semicolons at the end, and you don't need to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, true. This one. Sorry
it's just people get nervous. That's the problem. Ideal.
Yeah. And here.
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do that, and then also for your for statement, you have your length.
Yes.
Put them in. What's the right word? I never remember the names of my brackets, but the
curly
half circles.
Yeah.
The regular parentheses.
Parentheses. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Parentheses. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and then cool. You want to finish off line 23? You want to try running it now? See if it works.
For sure, probably it will fail. I already see a syntax error here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a typo. Just to help you.
You have two. The name of your variable is 2 M's.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Yeah, somehow with 2 M's. Okay, so let me run it.
Yeah.
So what do you think you're missing in there as you're trying to loop?
So it's in line 20. Okay, but it's the wrong is in line 20.
Evgeny, how are we doing on time?
We have 4 more minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, so just to speed it up, if you haven't found it already, I'm just sharing it because I don't think you'll find it. In line 15, you've used the wrong kind of brackets to create a list. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. And yeah, this thing is.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, that's good. You could just delete those. The lines there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we move on to feedback?
Yeah, sure. If you if you guys don't have any other follow-up questions.
Igor, you want to go first? Since you asked the question, Tech.
Feedback on coding question?
No, did you want to start with the feedback? I can go first.
Go ahead, Adil. Yes, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Overall, I thought, you had thought about what you wanted to say in the intro. That's really good when you were able to share your experience around, various other facets of software development. I thought that was a good intro. Good to get the interviewer interested in other things you're doing other than just testing. This tiny bit of feedback there was it was a little confusing when you were sharing your previous experience if how it was involved with testing, and it wasn't, and that's fine. Just be like clear about those things. I think when you first started out the coding challenge, you started out really well. You started with I really like it when people just say, hey, I'm gonna put forward a simple solution, if you will, and then I'll look to improve it. At this point, if it was a real interview, we'd ask you how you could refactor and improve it if there was time. But since we ran out of time, we weren't able to do it. I would say feedback overall on the coding challenge itself is, you have a lot of, and again, the solution works, but it's not the most graceful way to solve this problem. You have a lot of things that are extra, and which is okay when you think about it, but continue to think about how you can write more efficient code. For example, when you did your for loop in Python, especially, you don't need to do the range and length. You could have done just for I in some array, basically using list comprehension, and then just get into your loop. You wouldn't then have to look up the index of the of your array either. So just some of those small things, and even in your print statement, like you were trying, when you add the plus sign, you're concatenating. You could have used a comma and
interpolation.
F comma. Okay.
Yeah.
Overall, I know it can be nerve-wracking doing these. So practice these, because this is one of probably the easiest one you'll see. And if you are going for SDET roles, you will have a coding challenge, guaranteed. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Adil. I will just reiterate what Adil said. Absolutely. When you have a very strong introduction and tell people that you actually coded before, the expectation will be that you coder. And then when you actually introduce with coding challenge, you have to show something you're comfortable with. Obviously, confusing syntax is fine because people get stressed out, especially if you're using both languages. But consider the fact this is a super easy problem. This is not even from lead code. This is just like a warm-up question.
Yeah.
If you stumble over this, usually people won't even continue further. So I agree with Adil. I would definitely brush up your coding skills in one language so you actually feel comfortable. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to feel comfortable about this. And definitely ask questions along the way. Maybe walk through the solution, because interviewer might expect different solution than this. And also, if you are going to show the Python, interpreted languages like Python, Ruby have a lot of built-in sugar syntax, which is actually allowed to do one-liners. And showing this, like interpolation is a great example of what Adil was mentioning. Definitely will show the skill that you actually use on day-to-day. But when you start coding like in Python using more like Java flavor of Python, it shows that you actually don't do much on day-to-day, especially because this is a mock-up interview for the automation position, the anticipation for the interviewer that you code on day-to-day basis. So you have to be like strong coder at the first, and be prepared. This is a baby program. I would definitely brush your skills up to intermediate level. on LeetCode or any other similar site just to feel comfortable. And the only way to do this is just keep solving the algorithms on day-to-day basis before the interview. And nowadays it's mandatory. Nobody will, especially for the phone screen, what they call a screening interview, they will ask you coding questions before even talk about your experience. Because if you cannot code, what's the point to continue? So that's it on my side. Enrico, want to say anything else?
Yeah, the feedback I have for you, good job, by the way, on your interview here. I would say when you tell your story, you already know, obviously, you're going to get coding questions. So to try not to tell a story about coding as well. Tell a story about your quality assurance and the efforts that you have in there. You know, why your work is effective. How does it help the company save money? How does it help the company find bugs, for example, your solutions? So the story that you told about coding a solution for production, that's great. But you know you're going to be doing technical questions. So give a story around the QA part of things, or a process question, or how you lead the organization. Those are really good to come in because you're going to get the technical questions. And for you, you know, I can see, you know, you've got the skills to do this. You're going to get WebDriver questions. You're going to get SQL questions. So, you know, in addition to all the feedback that Adil and Igor provided, just do the same practice for those, because you're going to get those types. And the faster you do it, the more you can get through those questions, the higher your score is going to be for that interview. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank you.
candidate number one. I think a great job, and shout out to be number one. It's always very stressful to be number one. Anyway,
thank you so
thank you
much.
very much. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple questions in Q&A section, like what is the level questions from LeetCode for QA positions in the real interviews? Can someone help with the FANG or non-FANG companies? Do you guys can?
Very simple. It's easy to intermediate. Some companies like Salesforce actually ask advanced questions. Depends on the level. If you position yourself as a senior SDET, be prepared to actually be hammered just like a regular developer. They might ask you about binary search questions. They might ask you about graph. I mean, like pretty complicated algorithms that usually you preparing yourself in the last semester at your computer science bachelor's degree or master's degree. But be careful about titles. If you are intermediate level positions, nowadays SDETs are asked you know, more intermediate questions. So, but again, don't anticipate to be asked super complicated questions during the screens, because screening usually limited to 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And they will ask you warm-up questions, something from the easy level. So definitely there's no shortcut. A lot of people say, how can I prepare for the algorithms? The only way to prepare for algorithms is to just keep solving them. There is no, I mean, put yourself a calendar, daily 1 hour algorithms, and just keep solving, just like math, right? You have to solve it on a day-to-day basis. You have to practice.
Just to add to that one, these are kind of weeder type questions, but be conscious of the position that you're applying for. You're not, if you're applying for a QA role or automation role, they're not going to expect you to solve some sort of AI challenge or whatever product development challenges that they have. So in addition to answering the questions with the technology, interlace it with the purpose of the job. How does it apply to QA automation when it comes to REST APIs or UI testing or mocking or all these things? Continue to tell that story into how your skill applies as a QA engineer, because that's the purpose of the job. Always keep on reinforcing it back there, because the people who are trying to trick you with these questions will start to understand your value.
Exactly, I agree with Enrico, but that's post screening, the main interview, right? Yeah, in the main interview, they will basically frame the questions about the position. And I've seen a lot of people, when they prepare for an interview, they don't actually read the description of the position they're going to. They're like coming there like blinded, like, I mean, do your homework and prepare for the interview with exactly the skill set they're looking for, rather than just come up with the, you know, a frame that you try to reuse on all the interviews. Yeah. Be custom. Yeah.
And there's one more question in the chat, like if someone is not really confident, will it be these judged. Basically, I think it's more like to soft skills.
Yeah, it's also what we call cultural fit, right? Like I said, everything comes with the practice. Like even professional athletes, they don't become professional athletes. They go for amateurs first, right? And they go through competition to competition. So interview is a different skill set from actually the job itself. So the more interviews you go through, the more confident you become. And again, it's just a chicken and egg problem, right? If you don't do one, then you're not gonna get prepared. So my answer to this question, and probably Enrico and you will agree with this, just keep going for the interviews until you feel confident. There's no other way around.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move forward. Just want to add something that I didn't mention. We have 4 candidates today. Each of them will have 25 minutes. So about 2 hours length of the whole session. Just hang on, guys. All right, let's move forward with the candidate number 2. Candidate number 2, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Could you please share your screen and let's get started.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it. Okay, you have 4 minutes. Please tell us about yourself and about your last project.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I am candidate number 2. I'm as a QA. I have been in IT industry, more specifically in QA, for the more than 5 years. For the last 2 years, I'm mainly involved in the automation activity. I can say that it doesn't mean I'm doing only automation. I do involve in some manual testing too, but due to my responsibility, I'm mainly involved in automation. Right now, I'm holding an SDET position in my company, and here we are working in a web-based application which is used internally, and basically it provides safe and secure file synchronization. It is pretty much look like Google Drive, but of course with some more functionality in here. My main responsibility are to design and develop testing automation framework that varies user story and system requirement. For that purpose, I can say that I implement functional smoke and regression testing. I can confidently say that I can build a framework from scratch or can work upon existing framework. To speak about my technical side, Java is my main language. I used Selenium WebDriver as a test automation tool to interact with the UI side of application, and so far I developed my current framework based on page object design model to increase the efficiency, and also I'm quite proficient with the Cucumber, which support BDD and JUnit testing framework. But in my past projects, I also have a solid experience with TestNG, data-driven testing framework. Right now for the database testing, we are using Oracle. To interact with the database, we use SQL developer manually to interact with them, but for the automating the database tests, we use JDBC library, and also I have worked on API testing on my project. We are using REST assured library for automation, but Postman for manually interacting with the web service. And I can say that we use Maven as a project builder. We use Jenkins for continuous integration, and we are using version control, Git and GitHub. That is pretty much about me. As a personal, I can consider myself as a cross-functional team member, quick learner, and can be adaptable to any changing circumstances. That's pretty much about myself. If you wanted to specifically elaborate something, I will try my best.
Awesome. You fit right on
Candidate 2, I know we were supposed to take out the company that you're in, but you worked for the same company this whole time,
No,
and
that
it is a outsourcing company, or?
Sorry, I just wrote the name. It is randomly a name.
Oh, I see. Okay, just checking to make sure.
They are not named actually. I mean, randomly I wrote this word.
Okay, but they're different private companies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I mean, the period of the work, the period of time that I worked there is, I mean, right, but the other name of company is not correct.
Okay, thanks.
It's a fake.
Yeah, I'm curious actually because it's sticking out really well for me. I'm excited to hear about karate. Why don't you tell us a little bit about karate?
Let me,
because I know that's not a martial art.
At the beginning, I wanted to mention that I have knowledge of the karate and browser stack, because recently in our company they said that you should separate the API from the framework. You should take it in a new framework alone, only API. Basically what we did, UI API database was test case related to three layer of the project was in the same framework, but they said that we should separate the API testing in a new framework. Due to that, they suggest that we will make it based on karate framework. And then recently I start to learn karate. Basically it is something pretty much easier, because it is like based on the cucumber. There is specific keywords you use. You don't have to write codes in here, but for rest assured, for example, you have to know, you have to use coding skills. You have to know, I mean, OP concept or collection framework. But in here, basically, it is based on the BDD. Like there is specific words you use, like when, then, given, and then you provide a specific line. So that is pretty much about karate, but I can say that it is something that very recently we decided to separate it. That's why this is couple weeks that I'm looking for karate and learning about this. But the base of it is based on, I think, cucumber. As far as I see the structure, it's not difficult. You don't need to code in here. You basically use the words.
I have a quick question for you. Something related, not to your resume, but the general comprehension of automation industry. Since you've been in the web for a while, right? Tell me, what is actually right now the current alternative to the WebDriver, if you know the name of the framework? And there is one that actually competing pretty well and almost killing it. And that's question number one. And question number two, since you live in WebDriver, do you know evangelists, people who are actually staying behind the WebDriver community? Can you name like 2, 3 people, like the key people who drive the industry, writing the most blog posts, and actually representing the Selenium WebDriver at W3C standard? Just want to see like how much you know about the industry.
Sorry for question one. What was the question? I couldn't get it. Sorry.
Yeah, you... Sure. I'll repeat myself. Let's do question number one. What is the alternative web automation framework, which is currently considered #1 killer for the WebDriver? Meaning that a lot of people diverge from WebDriver towards that framework. Have heard about it? What's the name of it? And,
I mean, right now Selenium WebDriver is very popular for UI side of the web-based applications. But previously, for example, EFT was also in a time very popular. But I think due to Selenium is an open source and it has a large community support, that's why maybe it is more compatible. About the guys who is behind it, really I don't have idea.
Got it. So the question, the answer for the first one is Cypress. Cypress considered like pretty much stepping on the toes of WebDriver. A lot of companies are switching from WebDriver to Cypress for the several reasons. Number one, speed. It's much faster. Number two, has a huge JavaScript community behind this because majority of web actually written in JavaScript, not in Java. And huge support by the development team. So it actually shift left is actually happening with the Cypress. And I think right now it's considered the #1 framework, which is pretty much put a pressure on WebDriver. That's number one. And number two, there are actually a huge community behind this. And why I'm asking this question, because it determines like what conferences you're watching, what webinars you're attending. Simon Stewart is the person who is actually driving the community. But there's more people behind this who actually you can find if you just do a simple Google. Basically, the question is determining, again, it's for you to prepare for the real interview, is to know your industry. If you position yourself as an expert in web automation, you better know what are the alternatives. You better know who are actually the people you follow. And this way you'll show that you are interested beyond your job responsibilities and you are trying to improve yourself along the way and stay up to date with the skills.
Yeah, thank you. I really will take a look on it.
Do you guys any coding challenges you want to ask?
Yeah, it's already, I posted a pretty easy one because the candidate number 2 said that they're comfortable with Java. This is like pretty simple problem.
Okay. Could you please open in the chat the link that I posted earlier? Candidate number 2.
Let me share my thing. Can you see it? No, yes?
We see only a resume.
Okay, let me, I think I have to stop it.
And we have 12 minutes about.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Write a function to check if an array contains a particular number. So I have to write a function.
Check is the name of the function. It will get inputted
an array and an integer, and it will check, does this array has this integer? Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. So we should take an array and should take an I should. Am I missing something?
I think we need to help the first one.
Length is misspelled, by the way, just so you know.
Length?
Yeah, you have a typo in there.
How would you spell it? I got totally.
So my recommendation when you're writing some code, don't try to do it in one shot. First, you would declare just dummy function and see if it works, because right now we'll spend more time on syntax. So my recommendation, comment out everything inside and see from outside if it works. I mean, just return true and see if the function works itself. And then start putting the juice inside. Common mistake at the interviews, people just try to solve the problem in one shot. And this is not the IntelliJ, this is the CodePad, which is kind of a little less intuitive.
I think I'm missing some brackets.
That's why I was recommending you. Comment out code inside, see if the function itself can get called out like dummy one. Just put return true, see if it actually can work. And comment out everything inside. Because you're going to spend more time on the syntax rather than on the problem.
How are we doing on time, Evgeny?
So
We have 6 more minutes.
You're also going to need to initialize your array.
Okay, I think.
The array is commented out, by the way, it's in the notes. You don't have an array.
So did you hear the hint from Adil?
No, I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You don't have an array.
Yeah, what are you going to iterate to?
Sorry, can you?
You don't have an array.
Yeah, you have no data.
Here, I don't have array.
You don't. That's the fact. You have to declare array of integers that you pass through.
Sorry. Static.
Do the errors give you any hints of where to start? Candidate?
Sorry.
Do the errors, you ran it, presumably because you wanted to generate some errors. Do the errors give you any hints of where to start debugging?
Which line you should look first? That's what Adil tried to ask.
It's saying that.
So when you run a debugger, you always have to trust that it's trying to help you. And there's a particular order in which it's trying to help you in, because debuggers start from a certain order. So because it's giving you errors in a certain order, you should try to work through it at a specific order as well. How's our time doing?
Have 17 seconds.
We should give, I think we might need feedback time.
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes for feedback.
Okay. Yeah, we can probably jump in already.
All right.
So that would be my initial feedback, candidate. Thank you very much for going through this and for continuing to fight hard. So, just to reiterate some of the advice from before, as you're coding, you should talk, you should vocalize through it, you should try to get some help. You can always ask for help. But, to me, you did something that you could do. Junior programs will do it. You'll run your debugger, but don't run it just because. Run it for a purpose. And you were looking for a help. You were looking for a hint. And it's telling you that there's something wrong on your line number 5. So I would always attack that first. And you were kind of jumping around in the middle in there. So that will show that's more of a behavior. You may or may not get the answer at some point, but that's really a behavior of a developer. If they're going to run a debugger and get some help, they're going to go to the first line and line number 5. So that would be my feedback. And once again, more practice, these things will come naturally as you're doing more development work.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially when you are stating that you're comfortable with Java and writing day-to-day Java code. Obviously, this problem this is like on it's even simpler than the problem before. You should be feeling comfortable to write the syntax and like Enrico said, debug it like on the fly. So obviously we understand there's a lot of pressure, so kudos for your courage to participate in this. But this is a great exercise and also example for all the audience here that coding in real time is challenging. It's not as simple as a lot of people think. It's not like you get stressed out, you sweat, and that's why it needs a lot of practice. And you can see by all these candidates who are attending today's session, it's not as simple as 1, 2, 3, even on a simple challenge.
Okay, couple of pieces of feedback. I think your intro probably needs a little bit more practice because you were gathering your thoughts at the start. You want to practice it and have it as clean as possible. You know, you come off as passionate as possible. Again, it's a good way to build rapport with your interviewer when you bring the passion in your intro. You recovered well. You hit a lot of good points, but I would say just rehearse it so you know it's just automatic at that point. Also on your resume, it seems like you may want to clean it up a little bit. The points around your API, they're like in a couple of different bullet points and mixed with UI things as well. You start out with experience with Postman and then move into Rest Assured. So I would just look into that so it's not confusing and it doesn't feel like it's an add-on. On the coding challenge, yeah, I would say again, talking through how you're going to solve it is really important. Just keep talking throughout it. You know, don't feel uncomfortable saying, hey, I'm gonna start out writing things at pseudocode, or I'm gonna start like Igor mentioned. I'm just gonna have an empty method there that doesn't or empty function there that doesn't do anything. Just to make sure that you're going step by step. And the other thing I would say, I know you were dealing with a lot of syntax issues. That will prevent you from dealing with a lot of syntax issues as you go along, but also, you know, how you ended up. And again, if I'm off in Java, like just think about your algorithm. Just make it as simple and clean as possible. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you for feedbacks. I really appreciate them.
All right, guys. Candidate number 2, thank you very much. Let's move forward with the candidate number 3. Again, I see the questions in the Q&A session, how I registered again, what I should expect. So guys, please check the details in the description of the meetup itself. If you just sign up, it does mean that you will be participating as a participant or as a candidate. If you sign up, you can be as a listener, right? If you want to participate, please pay attention to the details in description. I wrote it down there. So if you want to sign up, you have to sign up in the Google form first. Then you have to join to the Slack channel and to go through the onboarding session, which the details were given in the Slack channel in the mock interview channel. If anything else, you have questions, please ask Ira or in the Slack. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. Candidate number 3. Are you ready to share your screen?
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Hey, so yeah, you have 4 minutes, please. And candidate number 3 and candidate number 4, they are more junior. So let's have the right expectation as well. Okay, candidate number 3, you have 4 minutes. Please tell us about yourself and your last project.
All right. Well, I'm candidate number 3. I'm a recent college graduate. Just in the past December, I finished up at my university with a bachelor's in computer science, minor in math. During my schooling, I was actually lucky enough to be able to have a long-term internship where I worked while I was actually going to school and during my breaks. That company focused on buyer to buyer, B2B, business to business. And I was doing a QA internship there where I got exposure to manual and automated testing. And at that point, when I saw automated testing, that got me really interested into that particular field and just QA, more QA in general. going back to my schooling, throughout the CS degree, they don't really teach you about testing very much. My particular college, at least, is more towards the software engineering in general. So I got the interest there. And after I graduated, I tried to continue gaining more knowledge into the field by taking online courses and reading articles and just creating little test projects for myself so I can increase my skills. Getting into more of what I did on my last project, while I was interning as the QA engineer, I would say my time was split probably about 60-40, 60% being manual testing, 40% being automation testing. And during the manual testing, I was in charge of normal manual processes such as integration testing, functionality, regression, various language testing, and so forth. I also was in charge of leading our mobile testing. It was a native iOS app. So that one was more exploratory and functional testing on that side. And going to my automation side, while about 3 months into my internship, I was tasked with taking our regression testing suite, which was all manual, and automating that. And I had no exposure to automation testing beforehand. So I picked it up from scratch, and I was pretty much the lead on project, just asking my manager questions every once in a while. So I built that. I chose to use Java and Selenium to automate those regression tests, and I built that up from scratch. And that was primarily functionality and UI testing for our web platform, which covered all of our 5 supported browsers. And I was able to reduce our manual regression testing time, which usually take us about 2 to 3 days, given our overtask, to about taking an hour to 2 hours, depending on how much tests we ran on an automated script.
Awesome. I have a sense, guys, that this one is a good one for me to ask my question on, my technical question. Do you guys mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I think he's candidate number 3, the last 2 questions that Igor asked, did those seem familiar to you? Are those something that you would have been able to do, especially coming out of a CS degree at school? Did you feel like those were kind of low softballs?
Could you refresh them on me real fast? Sorry.
Oh, did you? Oh, he was just asking when Igor asked
I heard
about,
them, but they're just not fresh in my head.
Just arrays and looking for certain numbers in the arrays, or ordering them, or finding unique numbers in them.
Yes.
That type of algorithm questions. Okay.
Yeah, I could.
So,
originally I would do those in Java, either using streams or just more basic for loops.
Cool.
Enrico, graduate in CS. You're kidding me. this guy should like hammer the. I mean,
exactly. That's why we don't want to go there. So this one, well, let's we're going to shift gears a little bit. We've had 2, coding questions in that sense. Let's shift gears a little bit. You've talked a little bit about Selenium WebDriver, and this is, you seem like you built the framework. So let's, can you do the code pad for him, Yevgeny? The coder pad?
Yeah, in the chat, please open the link that I posted just right now.
So I think this would be kind of interesting and then really good for the audience as well, because I think, these are some of the kind of.
Yeah, just initials. You can here, yeah, and go.
All right.
So yeah, you said Java. So let's, you mentioned standing up a framework. So I think this would be fun for the audience to see. So in WebDriver, start up a simple script, and let's go to, I don't know, bring up bing.com and search for, I don't know, hello world. Maybe you can put some weights in there and do a hello world search, and then we'll do some stuff with it.
Yeah. So lately I've been doing more Selenium grid work, where I use Docker to initialize the WebDrivers or WebDriver manager. to do that. So forgive me if my system properties is a little off setting up the WebDriver that way.
I think that would be great for the audience to see as well. And once again, that shows your, that's an extra skill set that you have. So definitely show that off.
Let's see. So if you don't mind, I can just to relieve syntax errors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So to set up, if I had to do it just using the Chrome driver jar file, you would just call for the system properties, call the file name, and then link to the path. And then what you could do from there is set up the Chrome driver.
Okay.
And then once that's all set up, all you have to do to get to a website is driver.get, and then the website you're looking for, and that'll pull up the website.
All right.
Is there anything else you want?
And then maybe do a wait so that, make sure the site comes up.
Do you want to, so for the wait, do you want a Fluent or type of wait through the Selenium API, or just system wait?
Why don't you tell us the different kinds of waits and what the pros and cons are for each one?
Yeah, so through the Selenium API, there's two different kinds of waits. There's sorry, I'm forgetting the names exactly, but there's, starts with an I.
Implicit
wait, where it waits just for a certain period of time and that's it. And then if the object's not found, it automatically fail. And then there's a more fluent wait. I don't think it's called fluent in the API.
It's the opposite of implicit.
Oh.
You know what the word is? That's the opposite of implicit.
I'm blanking on it right now. I'm very sorry.
It starts with an E. It starts with an E.
Explicit. Oh yeah.
There you go. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
So, and that one, you can tell the driver to wait for the element, wait until the element loads, or wait until the element is found. And that will keep recycling a certain period of times, or over a certain period of time you set for it until it fails.
Okay. Yeah, so we said like do bing.com or google.com, whatever. You're going to get some sort of edit box, and you're going to get the little magnifying glass. Why don't you type something in the edit box, like hello world, and hit search.
Yeah, so pull up the website. So first off, I'm going to access the input box just to send keys to it. Sorry if my syntax is a little off too right now. I've been using page object model a lot more recently. So I've been setting it by that way. So there's 5 types of selectors, and that goes best from ID, name, class, CSS, and then XPath. And for Google, I'm pretty sure the input box is has an ID of something like Q or something like that, and then send keys to it, and then do the same thing to find the submit button, and then you just do a simple click, or you could even send keys for enter if that's more reliable. And send keys sends it right away, so you don't have to have a wait on that, since it'll execute asynchronously. Okay. Each command.
And then just close. Yeah. And then go ahead and close the browser after you finish all this too.
All right, then you would probably do a assert statement just to check whatever you're looking for, and then you just call driver.quit or close.
Yeah.
Or
Tell
whatever.
us about asserts. What are asserts and what are they for?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
with
so after you do a
statements-
search, so you search for the word search, and you're going to get back something. What would you assert for, as an example?
So, for example, you would probably assert that the word search is displaying on the page that's returned, or you're getting some type of URLs and within the page that's returned that has the word search in it. And you would verify that by saying like something like assert equals and have the word search, and have you would use another find element to grab probably the page links that are returned from the DOM, and then assert that they contain the word you're searching for.
You picked quit to close your browser. Any other options?
So if the test is fully done, you can just hit quit, and that would just completely end the entire driver session. If you have multiple windows up, you could also use close, and that would close the current window, or focus the window, current window focus.
Okay. Good. All right, managers, any thoughts, any comments, any questions?
Yeah, I can move into my feedback. So this looks good. Exactly the type of thing, you know, to be fluent with it. I think it's also a good example for everybody else. Like sometimes some of these so more technical positions, people out of college will do better. So it's just a reminder: never stop learning. Even low level stuff that you may have done and may not be doing it day to day. Like find ways to incorporate that in your day, and learn those things and be hungry. Couple of points. I thought in your resume there are some areas of improvement that would help. I think adding, you mentioned you've done like adding GitHub, your GitHub link, if you have projects there, that could help somebody to see the quality of your work, even so that helps during the resume review phase. You know, I'm sure you've done other projects, you know, that you spoke about during your degree. You could also add them as experience in your on your resume, and kind of tying that together is, you know, for example, you had mentioned in your resume you have Docker experience, but nowhere it doesn't connect how you use Docker. And then while we were speaking, you spoke about Selenium Grid, and Docker. So find ways to add those examples, not just about technology, but also how you used it, how it brought value. That's going to help. That's going to make it easy for somebody to say, okay, this resume looks good. Let's bring this candidate in for manager screening or recruiter screening, whatever the case may be. I just realized I did have a question. So you said that you helped regression go from 2 to 3 days to 1 to 2 hours. So the manual regression, when they only needed to spend 2 hours doing manual regression once this automation suite was in place?
Yeah, so to explain more on that, sorry if that was a bit confusing. So originally when we did run through our manual regression tests, since we have other work on our plate as well, testing our staging environment, it would take us about 2 to 3 days to run through all of the regression tests or language tests we needed to. And we had 2 main platforms we called V4 and V5. The V4 was more older, not legacy code per se, but older functionality, and the other one was newer functionality. So I automated both of those sides. The V4 was completely stable, so that was always automated, but the V5 changed a lot. So the automation was more flaky on that end. So that's the side we had to focus more manual on. And to explain the 2 to 3 hours, I was more, since I learned from scratch, my skills were still more, I would say, rusty or not up to a high professional level yet. So when I said 2 to 3 hours, that's how long, 1 to 2 hours, that's how long the automation test actually took to run. Because of all the waits we had to do for page loads and various things. But it would still take us on the V5 side probably about a day, just manual testing if we needed to.
I'm sorry, how long would it, what was the last part? How long would it take to do the math?
If we needed to do manual regression testing still on the newer side, it would take probably, I would say just a 1 work day, but it would probably only take like an hour or 2 as well, since it's quicker to run through.
Okay. My tip would be like when you're explaining those kind of numbers things, just provide a little bit more context up front, because you know, this is a very shortened version, a very stressful one, because you know, you have three managers here. But I would just provide that context up front rather than you know, diving into a little bit, because it sounded like went from 2 to 3 days of manual regression to 1 to 2 hours. So that's great. But even if it went from 2 to 3 days manual to 1 hour of automation, 2 hour of automation, and 1 day of manual, like that's still pretty good, pretty impressive. I would probably have more questions if we were in an actual interview just related to that, but you know, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for that answer.
Thank you for explaining that. I'll work on that explanation in the future.
I think it's a good sign. If you have more questions. Igor, Sachin, do you want to join? Do you have any input?
Yeah, this is Sachin. I think I'm just sorry for being late, guys. My meeting ran over, but this is good. I think I don't have any questions, so I'm going to try to focus a little bit more on the next candidate. So I'll
Awesome.
work on this.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited about the Grady from CS posted a little bit more complicated problem, but
Sorry.
anyway, we can reserve it for later. Enrico did a great challenge and more web automation centric, so it was great.
All right. Thank you very much, candidate number 3.
Thank you all for your time and feedback. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Do we have candidate number 4? The last one, dessert.
Uh-oh, he's going to get Igor's hardest question here.
No, we'll alter.
Good luck,
You're muted.
4.
Candidate number 4, you are
Hi,
muted.
can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Okay, cool. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you have 4 minutes. Please tell us about yourself and about your last project.
Nice to meet you all. First off, thank you very much for providing me this opportunity. I'm candidate number 4 actually. I've been in IT field for about a year now, where I have my experience background in educational field. I got hands-on experience in overall 4 projects in bootcamp, specialized in SDET. Well, my journey started about a year ago as a self-learner by taking some class on Udemy, and I love coding. So then I discovered like this was my passion, and I did some research about IT-related jobs, and I've realized that I have more of tester mentality. So since I'm a chess player, so I'm good at observing, identifying, so which helps me now to find more defects quickly. So I felt so confident to change my career, and I decided to go to the bootcamp to get on-demand skills. So I've performed manual and automation testing, did front-end and back-end testing using tools like Selenium with Java, API with Postman, and REST Assured library. So beside my technical skills, I'm a team player because I'm happiest when I help my teammates to achieve like collective success. They usually ask if they're stuck in their code or like if they need any enhancement for their functions. And I love debugging their codes and finding out any blocks and simply helping them out. It's a blast to work in collaboratively. Now I'm looking for a company that I can add value so that I can contribute to provide quality product to the end client. And most importantly, where I can join strong team. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And should I proceed with my project?
You have 2 minutes. Yep.
So I'll talk about my bootcamp final project where I worked on internal management system that handled different aspects of HR. So in this HRMS application, there were two main users. First one was admin. The other one was ESS user. We called it employee essential user. So admin gets full access for the application, but the employee had limited access. So both were undergoing through the different modules. For example, like admin is able to add all employees, can change the employee details, while the essential user had access to change the contact details. So my main responsibility was get involved in the building frameworks and bootcamp project and develop reusable functions. Our framework is Cucumber, where we used Maven as a building management tool. And that was followed by page object model with the page factory. And it's hybrid. It supports behavior-driven development and data-driven testing. Yeah, the Maven project that helped us to build the project, I would say POM XML file is the heart of our project. In my user stories, I've used JDBC for automating SQL queries to test the relation databases, and did some validation with the data in my SQL workbench and the UI of the HRMS application. And also I have developed some reusable function for REST API automation. It was used in all API requests with the CRUD methods. And I did some validation with the JSON body. That's pretty much the highlights, what I've done in my last project. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask.
Guys?
Cool, I can go first. Can you explain more about the reusable functions you developed
Sure.
that helped save 7 hours of testing?
Correct. Yeah, like in our final project, since I've mentioned like our framework supported database API and the UI. So basically we had two different environments. So first, when we talking in the sprint planning, we were thinking like, oh, should we add, create a different framework for each of them, because we had base class where we, triggering the browsers, and we had that URL issues. So because of that, we were about to create two frameworks differently. And I've developed one method to switch the URL based on the environment. And that was really like saved our time. So that's how I accomplished that.
Okay, can you walk me through your through the pattern you used to switch URLs based on the environment? What were the inputs? How was it determining which one to use, and how did the test interact with that that method?
Exactly. So here in our, it's a Maven project. So we have SRC test resources file. So there we have configs where we put all of the configuration. So there is, I have set the, URL as a config, like in the configuration file. So we have configs reader, like method that we have developed before. So basically it's for connecting to the configuration file with the dot properties. And then that's how I get extract. Then I leave the properties and I load it. And then that's how I retrieve the that browsers actually. And then I use switch, if the browser is this, and I do set the drivers, and then I just retrieve it. And that will switch, and I just like driver that get the URL, whatever the browser that I would like to use. So that's simply, and I just put it in the common methods where I can call it. It's a static method that I can call it in my function or whatever I would like to use, so that it will be automatically get me to that browser.
Okay, sounds good. Is there any other, were there any other solutions that you thought about in trying to, what could be possible other solutions to this problem?
For changing the environment, you mean?
Yeah.
Actually in the Postman, when we were automating, we have created the global variables for the environments. So that's how we set there as the environments, the QA environment, dev environment. So we were setting as a global, and whenever we wanted to work in whatever the environment, we just switched the global variable to the QA environment. So that's how we switched in the Postman as well.
Okay, sounds good. And just final question for me is, what is the interaction between Cucumber and Selenium? How would you describe that? How would you explain that to me if, assuming I don't know anything about those things?
I understand. So yeah, you mean that how they integrate to each other, or how we can use them together, the benefit of it?
Yeah, what is each one doing? How? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Cucumber is a tool actually, and Selenium WebDriver also a tool. So how I used in my experience, Cucumber is a tool that I have used behavior-driven development. So it's basically the, test case are in the plain text, where I use the Gherkin language, the test case are plain text that's understandable by everyone, like even non-tech people. And when I implement these steps in the step definition and the feature file step definitions, I use Selenium WebDriver for my scripts, actually. So for writing the logic of it. So that's how I, incorporated, related to each other. So for Cucumber, I had 3 main things that I need: features, steps, and runner class. So where I, glue and feature, I, attach them together. And on the other hand, Selenium WebDriver, I needed to run, for example, if I would like to test the UI, I need to WebDriver manager that I set in my front-end project to go to the Chrome browser. So that's how I use together.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
The funny thing about the Cucumber, I actually spoke to Aslak, who created the Cucumber.
Oh,
and
no.
he said that the last thing
sorry.
was, yeah, Aslak said that he actually, last thing he thought is going to be used by QA, to be honest. And the funny fact about Cucumber, especially with Java, because originally was built for the Ruby, that as the shift left, for the past several years was the approach for many agile Kanban teams, Cucumber actually created more burden than help to move along, because everybody moves close to development. So Aslak said, you know what, if you don't want to slow down, don't use Cucumber. So it was funny. The guy who created it, yeah, it's but the funny fact that from 2012 through 2015, I was teaching, and I was a huge evangelist and believer to this, and then hearing from the guy inventor, I was like, no way. So it was very disappointing. Do you want to code with us? Candidate number 4. You want to, are you okay to code with us in Java, or how do you feel?
I'll do my best. I'm a self-learner at the beginning, so
Awesome.
I use Java as a
great. Can you share I prepared you the classical challenge that every interviewer can ask, called FizzBuzz. It's a #1 warm-up question for any developer. It's super simple. But it has a tricky part of it. But I mean, if it goes for the level of simplicity, it's considered easy. So shouldn't be no problem based on your resume and your coding skill level, whatever you depict in the resume. So good luck. If you have any questions, or feel free to ask.
Yeah, in the chat, I posted the link. Please open this link.
Right now I'm looking at it. but I cannot find the link. Do you mind to, I don't know, like.
Okay, let me post in the Slack for you.
Please, I apologize.
Okay, check in the Slack in the mock 4.
Okay. Just a minute. Can you see my screen, or like, do you still see my resume?
We see the resume.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and share again. Hope you can see now.
Yeah, just put your initials and that's it.
Okay.
And hit the goal.
Okay. Let's get started. Okay. So here's an write a program that prints the numbers from 1 to 100 for multiples of 3. Print fizz instead of the number, and for the multiples of 5, print buzz. Okay, so let's digest the question here. We need to look through, like we need the range. So that for that reason, I'm gonna use for loop. Okay, so I'm gonna use a regular for loop first because I need the range started from a 1. And I have to, do you want me to write the function, right? Or, right?
If you watch the previous candidates, yeah, I would basically build a template first, you know, if it worked. Okay. See first if you can print out 1 through 100 without any logic, and then implement the logic. So go baby steps. Don't try to shoot in one, you know, one iteration. Yeah.
So here's the thing, like in this case, I'm gonna first, I need the range. So I'm gonna go with the int I equals to 1. That's the starting point of my for loop. And then it has to be until 100, and I will increment it by 1. And then I'm using Java, correct? So before that, I would better write the main method. Public static void main, a string of array of strings, and put it here. Oof. Public static main string. Okay, so basically here, I'll need if condition because it asks me if this number is divisible by 3. So in that case, my I, if it's divisible by 3, which means remainder is 0, then I want to send that out. I'm gonna print fizz. And then instead of the number, and for the multiples of 5. So multiples, so it means that it's divisible by 5. Else if I have another condition, if that's not going to work, I want it to go into this condition, and I want it to, if it's divisible by 5, it should have no remainders, and I would just copy this, or I'm not sure if this is how it works. And there isn't any class over here. I would say class is bus.
My apology, I had to step out, guys. I hope Adil were spotting me. Is everything all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, else statement. To compile if statement syntax error. Okay, I need one more of this. And okay. Okay, let's see this. I have a class piecebus, okay, and I have main method. Main string args.
Candidate number 4, just give you a hint, just to not go through the same mistakes the previous candidates did. Never try to implement logic. Don't try to build the whole logic at once. It's a common mistake on all interviews, especially, this is considered easy problem. Imagine going to get more complicated. So my recommendation to you, write it simple, like, first solution, run it, see if you get like at least like, fees on P, right? And then complete the logic later. Don't try to build everything at once. Baby steps.
Yeah, totally agree. For that case, I have a compiler error. So here's the thing. Let's digest this. First, I have to write a program print the number 1 to 100, and for multiples of 3, print fizz. Okay, instead of the number. Okay, for the multiples of 5, print. Okay, I will say. So I have to print every number. So in that case, I'm not going to use if else, but if, because all of them needs to be printed. So for one, okay, if we have the output example here. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. Maybe that's
yeah. I would say just slow it down just a little bit. Try not to solve the whole problem the first time you run. We don't need to see everything. So so maybe
I need method.
If you're here, you can just print out the fizz and buzz. If you want, you can just start out with printing out just ones, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then add that logic later. If you're trying to do too much, something in the syntax, even a very good senior programmer, if you do too much at one time and hit run, it's not going to work, and then you're going to have like 3, 4, 5 different small things that you need to go fix. And that's just it's actually gonna slow you down, not speed you up trying to solve the problem at one go.
You're definitely right. So let's see if my main method, anything, if I want to run, okay, let's choose them out, print when, let me just see if this main method works. This is the first time I use this platform, so I want to make sure if this prints like very simple thing. Okay, couldn't find or load main class solution. Main class solution, couldn't find my class. Solution closed by Java, not class found exception. So I have a class here, and I have a main method here. I said class public method, let's say. Public class. The public should be declared in a file named fizzbuzz.chip.com.
So I'm not familiar with this platform either, but do you need to have a class there?
Yeah, I don't
think.
Yeah,
I have a class here.
Maybe you don't need a class at all. Just remove class from the function.
Okay, like this is the platform thing. Like I'm trying to understand. So basically I can. So I will focus on more my logic here. Here I have a main method.
Make sure this works. Make sure you can print hello, because otherwise you may never get your code to run.
So here's the thing, like public static void main string arg. So this is the syntax of the main method, just to print anything, and I chose a Java as the simplest thing. Let me see. I need one more. Delete this token. Okay. But like it's opening, I have to close it, like, right? The public static void main string, it takes the array of strings and system that out print ln. I don't have any syntax, I don't see it here. And the logic that basically I can talk you through, like this is the very simple thing for me, but here, it wants me to print from 1 to 100. And I say like int I, okay, start it from here. And 200, I'm not sure if it's inclusive. It's inclusive, it's going to be 100, but I would say like this. It's not inclusive. It's not mentioning here. And it has to increase. Okay. And then it says like I have to put the logic inside for if condition, if I is divisible by 3, this the condition, go ahead and print this. If this is not, if this is divisible by 5, then print buzz. And let me look at my, like, here's a thing, like, you see this? It's opening of the parentheses, closing. This is the main method. And about the platform, I have a question like, do I have to, let me see, do I have to write a class? He said no, right? Errors, error class interface or enum. Okay, so it's saying like I don't have a class outside, and when I write the class, it's saying no, don't write class.
Can you try to add the class again? I think earlier your class was not closed. There was no
yeah.
closing.
Here's a okay. So class, like simple class, let's say, and here. Okay, this is class. It's gone. Luckily. Please print it. Class not found exception. I have a class.
I think there's a typo in string. Then you have to open the no. Not here. No public void main method.
String args.
Yeah, there is a space. I think you should remove the space and the space between args and before arguments inside the parentheses. Yeah, put not here. The next one in the closing bracket.
Arg should be.
No. Between args and the closing bracket.
Okay. Okay. I found it. Oh my goodness, this is very simple thing. It's over here. I have to put it.
No. String, open bracket, close bracket, then space, args. Should be good. String. Yes. No. String is fine. Yeah. Just string, open bracket. I think. Yeah. You have to remove this one.
Oh, this is the parameter of the
no. String. Okay, let me try.
Oh, like
it should be.
Like, oh my god, I've never thought that I'm gonna be. Yeah, previously it was like this, right?
No, previously it was like this. Here, it's just a typo. It's fine. Hello. Yeah, just remove this one.
Yeah, marks, let's say. And I have to put this one.
Try. Okay, we're running out of the time, but I think that's fine, guys.
Like I know this question. I solved this. I looked at what main string arg. So like this is the syntax of it. I don't know if there is something wrong with me or I don't know. Like you see this?
No, you did a great job, I think, to be honest.
So it's something I can write in any other platform. I don't know. This is the first time. I apologize if I was nervous, I think.
Yeah, none of us actually use Java for CodePad. I mean, majority of solutions I did actually in Swift, to be honest. Yeah, but again, you can, CodePad is not a super intuitive compiler, and you can find examples online how to do Java version. I know, like for instance, in interpreted languages, you don't have to write anything. Just you can go like write a for loop is going to execute. So don't worry about the syntax. I mean, the idea you start doing is actually correct. So you're on the right track, which is great. And you use a modular, which is a great approach. And overall, I think just don't try to get so much crazy about the syntax. More like explaining the interviewer the idea and walk through the pseudocode is more than enough sometimes. But showing syntax is a huge plus, especially in CodePad. And I think this is the industry standard to use CodePad. So prior to interview, try to download yourself. They all have free trial versions, and try to run the whatever language you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Python, Ruby, or if it's Swift or Kotlin. Yeah, this way you'll be not gonna have these issues with the syntax over the during the interview. just ask like, what are you guys going to use? CodePad. There's like more than CodePad. There's like at least 10 different solutions available for shared coding. So great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I really liked how you talked through your explanation. I sense a lot of confidence in your voice. I sense a lot of humility in your voice, actually. And so maybe as a bit of advice, be more forthcoming, be more confident, and you actually have the skill sets for it. So go for it. You know, just kind of show off the skill sets that you have. You don't. And I think that that's just a little bit of extra boost, and you're good in there because you look like you really have a lot of skills behind your resume. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I think you did really well, considering, you know, walking from the very beginning, just talking through anything you're doing. That was really helpful. For your resume, you know, I thought it sounds really good to have your GitHub profile in there, especially when you're targeting entry-level position. That can help differentiate you from other candidates, because a hiring manager may be able to look at your GitHub profile and get an idea of the types of things that you've been working on. A lot of confidence in explaining the reusable functions that you spoke about, talked through. Like that a lot. What that really showed me was you understood the things that were in your resume really well, and I can't stress enough that any sort of interview, how important that is. And your explanations, they seemed very, what's the right word, easy for you. So so really good job in talking through and explaining those concepts.
Thanks.
I actually have one more thing to add, candidate number 4. So as an entry-level applicant, one of the things that gets a little bit confusing is you may be able to speak well like this, and then at the end, the panel's still unsure whether they want to hire you, because they're like, do we really want to get a junior? I'm not sure whether, you know, he or she is really good enough for this position. So as a tip for you, don't forget to interact with the panel and ask them questions about their work. Because what you want to do is you want to be able to say, oh, this is what you do. This is how I would help in contributing to this one. So as you continue to interject your experience with the work that's needed, you're now building the confidence to the interview panel that your skill set, which you've already, you know, we can already tell is good, is even applicable for the position. I think that's how you could secure it even more.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Right. Anybody else? Sachin?
Yeah, I have a couple things that I want to say. Candidate number 4, when I was starting off as a developer, I spent quite a bit of time just reading books. So I would say there's a couple books I think that will help you big time. There's a book called Programming Interviews Exposed. That's one book. There are a few other books that focus on how to handle programming interviews. So I would recommend you read them up. The second thing is I would recommend that you get some books about software testing. There's 2 that I know that are really good. There's a book by Ken Kammer about software testing. That's really very good for if you want to pursue a career in software testing. So I'd say, you know, because you're self-taught, because you're sort of early in your career, I'd recommend you know, get some good books and read at least, I would say read at least a couple, and that is going to help you a lot.
Exactly. I will. Thank you very much. I think so.
All right. Thank you very much, candidate number 4. Let's wrap it up, guys. Let's do a quick summarize for today's. Actually, today was the first time when we tried to do some coding challenges. And I think that was really great. I think that was very valuable. And I know that's always nervous process, always challenging, and you know it's pretty hard to keep it cool. But But anyway, I think the key is to practicing, as Igor said. And there were a question actually like, oh, any resources you guys can recommend? LeetCode, as what I know, like the source number one. You guys, do you have any suggestion about that?
Yeah, actually, let me turn my camera on. I posted for you. We used to have in YouTube channel a series of videos for the coding interview. I shared the link with you, Evgeny. You can share with the whole audience. It's basically, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 10 videos on how to prepare almost ask interview questions. We go through different approaches and techniques. And then Evgeny can share it with everyone if you guys are interested. We used to, me and my business partner Boris used to teach that over the YouTube. It's totally free, so it's a great resource. And LeetCode is one of the another great resources. Is if you want to see solutions, the paid version, you have to pay like I think $35 a month. Great resource, and it most importantly shows you not only how to, the solutions and the problems, but also the efficiency. A lot of people will ask you optimize your algorithms during the interview. Nowadays, because you are the tester, they will ask you to write unit tests for this. So basically, besides writing the code, they'll ask you like, okay, now since you are a tester, how would you QA your code? So you will need to write at least a few unit tests to make sure the code you've written is actually working. So yeah, more and more coding is asked, obviously. Don't be afraid of this. Just keep doing this, keep solving this, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, excellent points there. I think one of the takeaways is guided learning is great to learn about a subject you're unfamiliar with, but if you want to prepare for interviews or just get better at coding, you also want to tap into resources like LeetCode, and there's so many others. There are actually hundreds out there where you want to get a solution. I mean, where you want to get a problem, and not necessarily, just guided learning. Like, hey, let me teach you about this thing. Now solve this problem. Just random problems out there. The more you solve them, the more confident you get. There's so many resources out there. If you're specifically looking for Python, a couple of ones that are really, I find really interesting are PyBytes and Python morsels. So again, excellent things to keep trying to keep your skills up. I'm sure some of the managers here might also do something similar. If you learn something, code it out. And maybe even share it on your GitHub profile.
Also, I will share our YouTube channel, not the channel, but the list of our previous mock interview sessions. That should be also helpful for new people. And let's do one more thing. I forgot. Let's do poll. Let's vote for the candidate. You guys. Everybody, all participants, all listeners, let's do this one. Who would you like? Who did you like? Personally, I like all of them. I think all candidates was pretty good. All right, I'll give 40 minutes. 40 seconds.
Yeah, this was a great session, Evgeny, and the 4 candidates I thought actually were very good at telling the story of what an interview would be like. So I hope this was really valuable for the audience. If the audience would rewatch this whole thing and picked up some of the tips of all 4 pros and cons, I think they would knock them out their future interviews.
There is a lot of
so much in here. Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, 10 more seconds, and we have 10 more people.
She's still going for it. Congrats.
Who's the winner? Tell us, Evgeny, who's the
candidate number 4.
I don't want to spoil it. Hold on. We have
she solved her.
Share results. Here we go. Candidate number 4.
And she just slacked it or chatted that she solved the problem finally. So she would not give up. Congrats.
I believe candidate number 2 also solved the problem, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
No, not only solving, but actually running it. I look at the code pad because it's in my other screen and it's actually executing. So good job. And that's definitely determination. You haven't give up until the finish line, which is great skill and determination. But other than this, I'll tell that it's not easy to, in such a public appearance with the four of us, right? Four interviewing managers hammering you and hundreds, I'm not sure how many people watching all of you. I mean, it's very, very, very tough. So kudos to all of you for your courage. I mean, I personally wouldn't do it, just to be honest. And you guys rock. I mean, this is great.
That's amazing. Yeah, totally. All right, guys. So let's, one more thing, like next mock interview session will be on October 3rd, and that would be for web developers. It's will be different angle, so that should be also interesting. We'll definitely add more coding challenges in our following sessions. So every other week, please follow the instructions in the description. Don't assume that if you just joined, you will be participating right away. And this is a skill of quality assurance engineers and engineers in general to follow the right steps. All right, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, dear managers, Enrico, Igor, Adil, Sachin, and thank you to Ira, who was helping us with the hosting this meetup as well. You guys did all great job. I think this should be rock, solid rock. Okay. All right, guys. See you next the other week, Saturday, and happy weekends. Happy weekends. Bye bye.
Take care.